everyone, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Allison.
And this is Nerd of the Week, a randomly generated fandom podcast. Generator, would you like to remind everyone what our word is this podcast episode?
Remind us, please.
The word of the week is warrant.
Warrant. All right. So, there's lots of options for warrant.
I was just going to say, I think there's at least 2 different spellings, and I didn't know which one we were dealing with.
Valid. Oh, I didn't realize that you spelled it different. Oh, God.
Yeah, I think so.
Well.
So one of them is, like, a search warrant. Like, I guess an order that's issued for somebody to do something within the law is what I'd call that definition.
Okay.
I don't know which one it is that's spelled which way, but that's one of them.
Uh-huh.
And then there's another one that's like, gosh, I don't know how to put this into definition words, but I'll use it in a sentence. Like, it doesn't warrant this behavior.
Yeah. Okay. So I believe they're both spelled the same. That's
okay. Maybe
W-A-
I was just spelling things badly then when I was looking things up online.
I was very quickly typing in, like, various ways that I could think of spelling warrant, and Google just kept putting me back to Warrant.
Okay, yeah, that's just me not knowing how to spell then.
That's okay. Spelling's not necessary.
This is an audio format, not a written format.
So true. It can be a noun or a verb. And the noun has 2 definitions, which is a document issued by legal or government official authorizing the police or some other body to make an arrest, search premises, or carry out some other action relating to the administration of justice, which is such a long word.
I think I kind of got that one.
Yeah, I think you did too. And then the other one is a justification or authority for an action, belief, or feeling, like ground or cause or rationale or a warrant. So that was, I think, your other one that you were trying to define.
Yes, I think so.
And then the verb is just to justify or necessitate and use it as a verb instead of a noun. So,
oh, wait, no, I think that's what I was trying to say then.
Okay, that, like, their quote here is that offense is serious enough to warrant a court-martial. So, but as a noun, there is no warrant for this assumption. Like, there's no reason for this assumption. So.
Oh, well,
I'm going to give you
I think they're all very close.
I'm going to give you a solid effort out of 10.
Thank you. A good percent out of 100.
A C equals degree out of...
A certain number of stars out of 5 stars. Sorry.
That warranted a certain number of stars. But I have no warrant to tell you how many stars.
Not as warranted.
Not as warranted.
Oh.
We're losing our mind. It's fine.
This is now late night podcasting with Allison and Stephanie, as opposed to Sunday morning podcasting that you heard a few episodes ago.
Yeah, this is after a long day of things.
You who did nothing but bake.
It was still a long day of baking. Thank you. They're delicious sugar cookies.
Okay, fine. Worth it then.
I'm talking about Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay, cool. I've watched a few people play a little bit of this.
It's a fun it's a fun video game.
Good.
It's the sequel to Red Dead Redemption 1, and the reason I'm talking about 2 is I liked it better. Okay. My dad really likes the first one a lot more, and, like, has played the actual crap out of it, and is wildly amazing at that one. I wasn't so much into John Marston's story, but for whatever reason, Red Dead Redemption 2 just got to me a little bit better, and I like the story more. And it was made in 2018, published by Rockstar Games. It's technically the 3rd entry in the Red Dead series. There was Red Dead Revolution, then Red Dead Redemption, and then Red Dead Redemption 2. The Revolution, I don't know anything about. I learned that it existed when I was doing my, like, 5-minute before podcast prep. So that's where I am with that. It follows a outlaw gang in the Wild West, and it's kind of fictionalized Western, Midwestern / South, Southern United States, and follows the exploits of Arthur Morgan and the Vanderlyn gang in, I think it's like 1899. And the gang is basically going, we open up and they're running away from a failed heist. I think they were trying to steal something on a ferry, and it did not go well in the town of Blackwater. And Vanderlyn Dutch and his gang are forced to flee the area and attempt to cross like a snowy mountain to avoid the law. And they basically, I guess they had a bunch of money that they had squirreled away, but they had to leave it behind because they were getting out of Dodge really quick. And so the game is beautiful. Like, it's so well designed, and just the shots and the scenery shots are just absolutely gorgeous. And the thing that, like, I literally, like, stared in awe of was the opening sequence when they're walking through the snow. How well the snow is animated. It's so pretty. Like, and it has, like, that crunch that snow has, and you actually leave footprints, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but after playing video games for so long, where you would put footprints in and then they just kind of fade away, and you're like, all right, that's cool. And then having footprints that actually just stay, or if you fall over, like, you make mountains of snow. It was just really neat. I just think it's neat. The Vanderlyn crew end up in like a little temporary shelter, like deserted mining town that's up in the mountains, and Arthur, Micah, and Dutch go off to try to find more of a homestead, and they realize that they are being hunted down by the O'Driscolls, which is a rival gang that is basically trying to take over any land that Dutch is trying to take over. And Dutch is basically, you never really know, Dutch is not like the greatest leader ever, as you come to find out throughout a series of just failed heists throughout the game. And you start to wonder if Dutch's feud with the O'Driscoll family isn't just like something he made up and then just like blew out of proportion to the point where then the O'Driscolls had to retaliate. But Dutch is like the king of gaslighting and like making it be like, I'm doing everything I can for this family. And you're like, okay, Dutch, I need you to settle down. While they are out, they find a woman named Sadie Adler, and she was a widow whose husband was killed by the O'Driscolls. And Arthur, Micah, and Dutch come in and they kill a couple of the O'Driscolls who were harassing her, and they basically save her. And then Sadie joins up with the crew to stay with them because she's like, I have nothing here, and my husband's dead, and this house is like on fire, so I'm gonna come with your group. So they add in Sadie to their group of people. They eventually make their way south to what's considered Pinkerton territory. Pinkerton is a detective agency, and I think they were actually like a real detective agency that existed in that time frame. And basically they were like private agents that were hired by the U.S. government for specific detective work for hunting down like outlaws and things, like trying to get rid of the cowboy outlaws who were like living off the land and not joining in with society at that time frame, which is kind of neat to have like actual some historical things in a mostly fictional game. And they go through a bunch of shenanigans where they end up in a town called New Hanover. They settle kind of like just outside of town and set up camp, and then they go into New Hanover, and they basically perform just like jobs, like odd jobs and things like that to get enough money. And then Dutch does what Dutch does best and is like, this isn't enough. We're not making enough to scrape by, even though they really are. Like, the group is pretty large. I think there's like 10 or 15 people in it at the beginning of this game, and they have like a communal pot, and people are doing well, and they're eating, and they're not like running from the law, and they're doing like honest work. And then Dutch is like, we're gonna rob the bank, and you're like, okay. So then,
great job, prospects there.
let's rob this bank. And then so they do, and they get into a shootout with the wealthy oil magnate, Leviticus Cornwall. He was basically the guy who runs this town and then doesn't want his money stolen for obvious reasons. So then they have to reallocate again to roads further west. So they basically just, the cycle keeps repeating where they are doing okay and then they have to go move west, and then Dutch makes up some stupid plan. A couple of people in the group either disappear, like they're like, I don't want to be part of this group anymore, or unfortunately are killed, and they keep moving out further and further until basically you get to the Saint Denis, which is kind of like a Louisiana style city that has like a train heist situation that goes very, very poorly.
As most train heists do.
As most train heists do. Like, it almost did well, and then Dutch is not a good planner. He gets too greedy, and he doesn't think about, like, foresight and what the next steps are going to foresee, and so then
wait. So, since it's a video game, aren't you supposed to be the planner?
So you're in Arthur Morgan's shoes, who is basically...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize which character we were playing as.
So we're playing as Arthur Morgan, who is... you can choose to make him more of a jerk or more of a cinnamon bun. I always gear towards him being more of a sweet cinnamon roll.
Yes.
Because he's adorable.
As we should.
And some of the one of the cool things about this game is some of the dialogue changes based on choices that you make. The ending on mostly is the same, but it's just kind of how people respond to you. And there's a morality bar that's like how much of a jerk or how much of a good person you are. And like, you can walk into town, and if people like you, they'll like give you discounts on stuff, and if people hate you, they will try to shoot you on sight. And I like to walk into towns and like look around and buy stuff and not get into shootouts all the time like my father does. So I tend to go that route. And Arthur tends to be like just adorable with the things that he does, and his kind of Achilles heel is that Dutch is kind of like a father figure to him. So he has a hard time saying no, and he'll say things like, I don't know, Dutch, this doesn't seem like a good idea, or they settle by
wait, so did they ever make the sweet cinnamon roll rob the bank?
He does. He does rob the bank. He does kill some people.
Sorry.
He is still an outlaw cowboy. And so he does go out and do scandalous things. And he gets into a shootout. He breaks into the bank. He roughs up people for money. He does not so great things as well in the story, but he's a multifaceted character, and he's really well written. And he's got this notebook that he writes all of his stuff in, and like he will do basic journaling, and it's like a couple of thoughts that he has, nothing like in depth or anything, and then he'll like doodle like a bunny, or just the notebook is so cute. Oh my gosh, it just kills me. And then he'll write little things like one of his the guys that runs with the crew is named Lenny, and he writes about him and Lenny's friendship and how they went fishing, and like he's just a good noodle, and he doesn't deserve Dutch, and Dutch doesn't deserve him. He's too good for this world. And right before about the midpoint of the game is where I like to just stop, because there's a campground that they set up that's kind of right by the water that you are near enough to a town. The story's in like a good place. Everyone's doing really well, and Dutch wants you to go and pit the Greys and the Braithwoods in roads against each other, and kind of like Romeo and Juliet situation, so that you play one and then play the other, because the families hate each other, and they're like, I don't know if they're hoarding Civil War gold or they're just like plantation owners or something like that, but they're like big southern families with a lot of money that just have a rival with each other, and then you discover that they the daughter and the son of each of the families kind of likes each other. And so they're trying to, like, figure out a way to pit them against each other. And Dutch is trying to come up with a very convoluted plan that just ends poorly. But right before all that happens, that is, like, the funnest part of the game, because everything's chill. And then a lot of the game you can just go and, like, hunt wildlife and go fishing and then talk to people and go on, like, missions. Ooh.
Shenanigan, Michigan.
Shenanigan missions. Words are great tonight. Late night podcasting. So
What's sad is it's not even that late.
I know, it's only like 8. So it's more fun at that point, because you don't have the, like, the Pinkertons aren't super after you just yet. You're not fighting constantly against the O'Driscolls and kind of the more, like, crazy family shenanigans that are happening. And, like, it's very, very sweet there. And then after this situation, which ultimately goes wrong and eventually ends up in one of the, I think it's the Braithwaite's house, like, beautiful, like, southern house, like, colonial style, just being set on fire, and the gang shows up and, like, attacks our group of people and scatters a bunch of our people. We lose Lenny. We lose a couple of other characters that you've become, like, emotionally attached to. And then Dutch sends Arthur to go just acquire money and, like, pick up bounties and things like that. And there's a mission that's unskippable that you basically rough up a guy who has tuberculosis, and he ends up giving tuberculosis to Arthur.
No.
Yeah, so, like, I like to not, I just stop right before that mission, and I'm like, this is where it ends, this is the good side, and, you know, it's 1899, like, there's no cure, there's no fixing this, and so the commentary is, like, Arthur choosing to continue down this road of being a jerk and being an outlaw eventually is the thing that kills him, because he gets this disease that's incurable. And then the rest of the game, your stamina starts to wane, and which is actually implemented mechanically in the game. Like, you have a harder time running from place to place. Arthur coughs more just in the game, and he's just slowly getting worse. And still, unfortunately, going along with Dutch's nonsense. After, what's the name of the song? After the fight there, the gang gets separated, and Arthur is presumed dead after the house gets set on fire. Hang on, I'm looking up the name of the song. It's just really, really pretty. Unshaken. So there's a song called Unshaken that is beautiful, that I do recommend to listen to, that when Arthur, like, picks himself up and is going to go look for anyone who's still alive after this fight, it's basically, like, set into, like, a picturesque cinematic mode where he's riding along with his horse, and you don't really have to interact with the controls, and the song is just gorgeous. It's so pretty. This game is beautiful.
Just vibes.
Just vibes.
No controls.
Just vibing. And through basically more shenanigans, Dutch ends up finding most of the gang. A couple people died. A couple people ran off. So the gang is now, like, 4 or 5 people, not all of the group that it used to be. And Dutch becomes more and more paranoid that every time they go somewhere, the Pinkertons show up and ruin everything, and not his crappy planning. And so he kind of turns into more of, like, a evil king tyrant situation where he's convinced that Arthur is the informant, when it's actually Micah, who is, like, the literal salt of the earth, like, scum, do not want. And, like, you could see it from the beginning. You have to break him out of a prison early on in a town called Strawberry. And I'm like, I would rather just let you rot in there. You kind of suck. Because when you show up, he's not even
do you
great.
have to get
You
him
do.
out?
To progress the plot of the story, you do.
What if you didn't want to, though?
Then you
This
can
seems very manipulative.
Yes, you can just vibe. You don't have to play with the story. That's the beauty of Red Dead Redemption. It's an open world. You can do what you want. Just go vibing. Because when you
can't go plotting at that time.
You just can't follow the main plot. because Micah's not even like thankful when you show up. He's like, oh God, finally, I've been waiting here forever. They were gonna hang me tomorrow. And you're like, I should just let them hang you. Like, gosh. So Micah is the one who is actually informing on the Pinkertons. He's getting a bunch of money from it, and is part of the reason that the Vanderlyn gang isn't thriving. A lot of the reason is because Dutch sucks as leader, and Arthur would actually have been a really good leader and would have paid attention to his crew and taken care of them. But c'est la vie. So they get up in the mountains. They end up there, and they that's kind of the last of it, as the Cornwall from the beginning of the game and the Pinkertons kind of join forces and then show up to try to take out the crew one last time. And Arthur was already on shaky feet with him, and then after his fight with Dutch, the last straw is where John, God, I keep wanting to call him Marsters, and that's not his name because that is an actor. John Marston, who's the main character from the first game. Dutch leaves him for dead, and Arthur's like, but he's got a family, like there's Abigail and his son and Jack, and this is insane, why are you leaving him? And so Dutch has turned the narrative into John is now the traitor, and is like, no, we can't do this. And the kind of ending of this is Arthur choosing to protect John and helping him and pulling away from Dutch and going, nope, and he stands his ground and does that, like, I'm gonna buy you time, and like fights off a bunch of people so that John and his family can get away. And then unfortunately Arthur does end up dying at this last stand, but he was gonna die because of the TB, and so this was the way he was able to choose his way out. And
so no matter what, he dies?
No matter what, he dies. And
That's so sad.
It's so sad.
That's
and
not
he's
fair.
I know, I love him so much. And he's such a snowflake, and I love him, and he doesn't deserve his life, but he has a good ending, and it's a beautiful story, and it's a very cool, like, way to have him realize that the guy that he's been following is not good for him. And the narrative is a lot of found family and doing what you can with what you're given. And it's a fun game. And then after Arthur passes, the game then starts to follow the point of view of John and picks up right before the events of the first game. So Red Dead Redemption 2 is a prequel to Red Dead Redemption 1. And then you follow John and him building the house that his homestead that he was on for Abigail and Jack. And then you meet up with Sadie, and you can finish a bunch of like the random missions that if you didn't get to them with Arthur, and you can actually get revenge for Arthur. And Red Dead Redemption 1 follows John like rounding up the Vanderlyn gang. So the story then would continue with the first game with him making a deal with the Pinkertons that they won't arrest Abigail and his son if he goes and finds and flushes out the rest of the crew that like scattered when the Vanderlyn gang split up. And so Dutch does eventually meet his end with John killing him, but that's the first game. But the game is beautiful. It's super fun to play. The story is heartbreakingly wonderful, and I've played it a handful of times. I've 100% completed it at least once. And there are a lot of side missions. At least once. There are a lot of side missions. A lot of them are very goofy and quirky. Like Arthur becomes friends with this guy who takes photography, like wildlife photography, and it's like an old like flash camera that takes like 20 minutes to develop, like to get the picture, and he's trying to take pictures of coyotes, and Arthur comes in and has to like fight off the coyotes to protect this guy. And
my gosh, side note, I saw a coyote while I was running in the park yesterday.
Oh gosh,
in
that's
the middle
terrifying.
of the day, and I'm like, what are you doing, friend? Go away. Luckily he did not want to be my friend. He ran away.
Good, I'm glad. Be safe. Carry bear mace or something, please.
I guess pepper spray. Is that mace? Are they the same thing? Okay.
Yeah.
A little canister.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There is this guy up in the mountains that is trying to harness lightning. So there's a lot of like quirky, fun side missions that aren't related to the main plot that are just super adorable, and the characters are super interesting to follow and pay attention to. And the reason this fits with Warrant is that they're outlaws, and you can actually like get a bounty on you if you follow along with one of Dutch missions, and then you end up killing a bunch of people and the police are after you, or like towns will round up posses to try to come find you. And then if you choose to ignore the main plot completely and then just go open world free, the morality system is not charged in your favor. Like, you have to do a lot of good things for it to build up, but like one bad thing sets you back super bad. And the mapping on the controls on the key controller isn't the best, and sometimes you accidentally shoot someone because you meant to pull out something to give them, and then you actually pull out your gun from your hip and you shoot them in the head, and you're in the middle of town. And 30 people are like, holy crap, and then there's a warrant out for your arrest, and you're like,
Is there like a Control Z?
Not really.
No.
You can reload, but it puts you back further, and then sometimes you're just like, I guess everyone's gonna get shot now. It's fine. But that's truly not the reason I play this game. But it is a aspect of it, and I liked the you can go hunting for like basically like mythical creatures, not really, but like the best version of like a bear or a cougar or whatever, and then you get these like really awesome like outfits, and then improve your gear and things like that, and you have a close emotional connection with your horse that you pick up, and as you like develop your relationship with your horse gets faster, it has more stamina, that kind of stuff. And there's a specific horse that you can go get that's an Arabian that always cracked me up that they picked the Arab as the one that was like, yeah, this is the cool horse, it's super fast, and you're like, I know Arabs, but that's all right, she can be chill. But she's like up in the mountains from where you started the game on the map, and it's this beautiful white horse that you have to like try really hard to track down, and then like avoid getting taken out by like bears and stuff to go get. And she's got the best stats in the game. And the worst part about this game is not that Arthur dies, but that his horse dies. And you have built this emotional connection with this horse, and then she dies, and I like legitimately...
Why does the horse die?
She was protecting you. She was being a good girl, and you were running away. It's always Dutch's fault. And you were running away from the Pinkertons, and you got shot down, and she gets taken out, and so you have to choose to leave her behind, and so Arthur makes the decision to shoot her because she's got like a broken leg and she's a horse, and it's just so sad.
Oh, no.
And I'm just emotionally attached to the horse. Of course I am, but
Of course. Okay.
it's all good. But yeah, that's basically the game on a sad note.
That's kind of sad. All of this seems kind of sad.
All of it's sad. It's like Western. I love Western movies, Western games. My main genres are like space Westerns and just original Westerns. And samurai movies, because samurai movies and Western movies are basically the same thing. And yeah, so it hits all the right, like, happy, not happy, but like the things that I enjoy the most in narratives and media. And also it's fun to be a cowboy.
That sounds like a country song.
It probably is. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's fun to be a cowboy.
Cowboy.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Never apologize for improving a song.
Oh no.
There's a song called It's Cool to Be a Cowboy. Or Toby Keith got Should Have Been a Cowboy.
Should have been. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, Toby Keith.
There is no It's Fun to Be a Cowboy based on the quickest of Google searches, so you should trademark that and make it a song.
All right, I will write it and I will sell it to whoever the current best-selling country singer is.
Couldn't tell you, but sounds like a great plan.
I feel like they make lots of money, so it probably would be a lucrative adventure.
Probably.
Problem is, I don't really like country music.
That's fair. Hot takes. Hot takes from Allison.
I guess you don't have to like all the art you create, so...
That's true. Yeah, you don't have to like it as long as it's good. That's all that matters. So that is what I have for Warrant.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That sounded so sarcastic.
Thank you so much for doing the podcast with me and telling me all about this
so much
weird game that's
doing
sad.
This podcast. I'm just so thrilled to be here with you right now. Like,
This is such an unhinged episode.
Oh no.
All right. So yeah, that's Red Dead Redemption 2. What beautiful quote do you have for me? I'm gonna try to gear us back onto the right train tracks.
Thanks so much. Hey, that's also kind of country and western with the train
Ayo.
tracks. So it's two people.
Okay.
One of them says, "How about we at least get a search warrant?" The next person says, "To search what? Earth?"
Huh. Interesting.
Well, you think on that.
I will think on this thing. All right.
I doubt you're gonna get it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, honestly, I wouldn't get it if I hadn't looked it up online. So
Fair
sorry
enough.
about that.
I like it. All right.
But anyway, maybe we have some listeners who are real deep in the paint and they know exactly what that quote is from. And they could quote the rest of the media that it comes from as well.
Yeah, send us contacts if you know the obscure quote that Allison just gave me that she's pretty sure I'm not going to know, using the hashtag Nerd of the Week or hashtag NOTWP, or at Nerd of the Week on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or you can use those hashtags chatting with me on, I don't know if you can chat on TikTok, at Vampire Sheep spelled with 3s instead of E's. I'm so good at this thing.
I don't think TikTok has a chat feature, but I don't actually know.
No, but we do have some
think
fun.
You can comment.
Yeah, you can comment on them. You can find us using hashtag Nerd of the Week podcast, or Nerd of the Week, or NOTWP on TikTok, though. And we have a couple of like cute audio shorts on there. So yeah,
They are cute. They make me giggle a lot. They're charming. Great job making them.
Thanks.
All right. Well, I think that was enough of a promotion break, and we'll move on with the show now.
Yeah.
All right. So I, of course, also brought a thing that is having to do with the word warrant.
I should hope so.
Yeah, I didn't get a random different word. I did the right word. And the thing that I have brought is the Disney movie Tangled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of, at this point, an older Disney movie.
Oh.
It was made in 2010, which is surprising to me.
Yeah. How come every time we do this, I just feel old?
It's just a feeling. It's not a truth? Question mark? I don't know. Anyway. So, it is an animated movie by Disney, and at the time it was a triumph of animation because of Rapunzel's hair. Yes, if you didn't know, Tangled is about Rapunzel. To clarify that for us. Mm-hmm. Disney started doing this thing where they don't name their movies right after their main characters. So now you have to clarify what you're actually talking about.
That's true.
It used to be, I'm talking about Snow White, and so the character is Snow White. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Tangled is, of course, a retelling of Rapunzel. So we open up with kind of not a traditional story, kind of the backstory, I guess. So there's a witch who is Mother Gothel, and she is terrified of growing old, and she desires nothing more than to remain young, obviously. Uh-huh. And she hears of this magical flower where basically she can sing to it, and it has this weird magic that like washes over her and restores her youth and beauty. Mm-hmm. She was smart enough, and this is, I guess, interesting for the rest of the characters, but she was never going to kill the flower. She just wanted to hide it from everyone else. So she kept it like hidden away on a mountainside, and she had like a basket over it so it kind of blended in.
Okay.
And she'd go visit it every now and again when she needed that good youth juice.
That good youth juice.
Good youth juice. But then one day in the kingdom, the queen fell ill right when she was going to have a baby, and they searched everywhere because they were desperate. And finally, they found this magical flower that would restore her health. So the flower, I guess it kind of is a thing of like, if you're not healthy, it brings you back to health, and if you are healthy, then it brings back your youth. Like that kind of system, I guess.
Okay.
But anyway, so all these guards who are looking for it, they find the flower, and they pick the flower to take it back to the queen. So now the flower is gone.
Ugh.
But
they could have
anyway,
just brought the queen to the flower, but all right.
They could have. There was lots of solutions here, but they did not think through them.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway, they take the flower back. They make a single serving of tea with the flower for the queen to drink. Mm-hmm. And she got better, which, good, yay. Mm-hmm. And then she had the baby, and it was healthy, yay.
Yay.
And that baby was Rapunzel.
Hooray!
She, at that point, when she was born, didn't look anything like her parents, who have dark brown hair. She instead had really long blonde hair that was real fancy. Now Mother Gothel, realizing that the queen had consumed the flower, went to the castle to try and find any remnants of it. However, when she got there, she did not find any remnants of the flower. However, she did see kind of this weird glow coming from the cradle, realized it was Rapunzel's hair that was glowing, and said, I must snatch the baby. The baby shall be my flower. So she done kidnapped the baby, take it back to her big tower, and leave the baby up there forever and ever. And that is where the story begins. Mm-hmm. We open with Rapunzel she's basically living on her own. It doesn't seem like Mother Gothel actually, like, lives there with her, but comes and visits her very frequently. Now, it's getting to be close to Rapunzel's birthday, and, I mean, this whole time, Mother Gothel has, like, really gaslit Rapunzel into, like, it's really scary out in the world. You can't go out there because everybody would try and do bad things to you. So you have to stay here in the tower where it's safe. Mm-hmm. And I am your protector. And, like, basically that is all Rapunzel has heard her entire life.
Yeah.
So that is what she is forced to believe. She seems like she has pretty cool life on her own, though. She wakes up every single morning and she cleans the house, so I guess it's a very clean place. She also reads all of her books, and she bakes, and she practices ballet. There's a whole song that details her morning routine. And she also loves to paint, and so there's pictures all over her ceiling and the floors, and like the whole tower is covered in her little paintings. Sometimes I think she paints over the paintings if she gets tired of it and makes a new one.
Valid.
So she keeps it up. She keeps it going. Then Mother Gothel is coming to visit, and Rapunzel's like, oh, you know what? It's time maybe I could think of a birthday present. Her big idea, she wants to go somewhere. She doesn't quite know where, but she wants to go somewhere to see these stars that come out every night on her birthday. Now, these stars that she's seeing, they're not actually stars. They're lanterns that every day on her birthday, she being the princess, the queen and king release them along with the rest of the kingdom into the sky as, like, you know, kind of like a candlelight vigil kind of thing of maybe one day our daughter will return. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, Rapunzel correlates the stars somehow with her birthday, but not sure why.
Like,
but she wants
not
to go
solid planning on Mother Gothel's part. Like,
yeah, just
the baby wouldn't have
birthday.
The baby wouldn't have known when their birthday was.
But again, poor planning throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. Mother Gothel, of course, does not want Rapunzel to leave the tower. She's like, you must never leave, and kind of like gets real mad at her, and Rapunzel's like, oh, okay, fine. I guess, could I maybe have some more of the white paint that I like a lot? And Mother Gothel, like, also seems like she doesn't want to get this fancy paint for her birthday. Because she's like, it is a 3 days journey to get the shells that are required for that paint. But I guess I will do it for you, my beloved daughter.
Oh, gosh.
And just, like, she seems so, like, not into it.
Uh-huh.
But I guess it's better than the alternative, which is Rapunzel leaving the tower.
Right.
So, whatever. We then cut to another one of our characters, who is Flynn Rider, and he's a bandit. He is kind of like a suave-looking guy. He looks fancy, I guess, and he's got these 2 sidekicks who are like these twins, but they're like these huge, like, henchmen kind of guys.
Okay.
So they're doing this job. I'm not sure why they're doing the job. Maybe it was just Flynn's idea, but they're breaking into the castle to steal the crown that belongs to the lost princess, which seems like high treason, but whatever.
It seems like high treason, and there are other objects that would probably be easier to peddle. Like,
yeah, and maybe also worth more. Not sure how much this is worth, but like sentimentally probably worth a lot.
Right.
So like, I don't know. If he was sent from another kingdom, which nowhere in the movie does it say he is, I don't think he is, but like, if we're coming up with another backstory for him, like if he came from a different kingdom and stole their crown, that would be grounds for war, I would think.
Right.
Like, that's almost like Princess Bride, where there's another kingdom, they're trying to start a war, so they steal the princess.
Right.
Anyway, we're not going into that deep of stuff in a Disney movie, though. Sorry, that's just my own take on things.
No, I'm totally into it. I like the deep dives.
Thanks. So anyway, he like is rappelling down into the castle, and one of the guards who is in charge of guarding the crown, he's not like watching the ceiling, so he doesn't see Flynn coming down, lowered in. But then he sneezes for whatever reason. The guard does. And Flynn's like, hay fever? Isn't it the worst? And then the guard's like, yeah, it is. And then he's like, wait, who's talking to me? And Flynn steals the crown, is already being pulled back up through the ceiling by the henchmen, and they're running across the roof. Flynn kind of like stops to admire the view, and he's like, all right, guys, next job, I want a castle. And they're like, we don't have time for a castle right now. Roar.
They don't seem like they're very fun.
They're not. They're not. I don't know why Flynn got stuck with them. But anyway, so they're all running around through the forest trying to avoid all these guards that are coming after them. There's one guard, the head guard, who has his horse who's Maximilian. Short name is Max. There we go. Nickname is Max. This is the most dog-like horse that's ever been depicted in media.
No, because Arturo in Road to El Dorado is also pretty dog-like.
That's true. Okay, this is yet another very dog-like horse. Let's say it that way. All right. So they're all chasing the guys down. Flynn has the crown in his satchel, so it's very important that he keep the satchel. The 2 burly guys somehow like fall off a cliff or something, and then Max and Flynn are like on this tree branch, also falling, but somehow make it out alive. Flynn then kind of like puts his hand on this wall of the cavern, but there's actually like a secret passageway behind all these vines that he's able to slip through before Max realizes what happens. And that brings him to the clearing where the tower is, where Rapunzel is kept. Flynn kind of climbs his way up the tower, because he's like, this looks abandoned and weird, so I'm going to go up there. Well, Rapunzel kind of knew he was coming, and is very scared of this, because she's heard that men with pointy teeth will come and hurt her if she leaves the tower.
Specifically pointy teeth.
Pointy teeth, yes. So Flynn like gets into the tower, he's like looking around, he's like, what is this place? And she smacks him up the head with a frying pan, and he gets knocked out. And then So Rapunzel has a little chameleon whose name is Pascal, and she's like asking him like, what do we do? What do we do? And he like, Pascal kind of morphs himself into a man with pointy teeth. And Rapunzel's like, I know, but he's asleep right now. And she kind of like takes the hand of her frying pan and like nudges it on his lip and like sees that his teeth aren't pointy, and she's like, oh, okay. And then she kind of like pushes him into her bookshelf so that he's kind of hidden, and Mother Gothel is coming back, and she's like, wait till she sees what I have. Once she learns that I can protect myself, like, I have a man in my closet. She's very happy about that. She's like, I'm sure she'll let me go. Well, Mother Gothel comes back. She's not about this life. She, like, really shuts Rapunzel down. Rapunzel never even gets to say, like, I've got a man in my closet. So that's kind of a bust for her, unfortunately. And Mother Gothel finally goes off to do her dark bidding. Whatever that may be. Rapunzel ties Flynn up to a chair and, like, hides in the shadows when he finally comes to and is, like, questioning him. She's like, what do you want with me? Do you want to steal my hair? Do you want to cut it? And Flynn has no idea what she's talking about, and he's just like, no, I just want to not be captured by the guards. Where's my satchel? Where's my satchel? And she's hid the satchel somewhere. It was just in a jar, and he's like, it's in that jar, isn't it? She's like all sad, like, yeah, it is. Anyway, she says, I will give you your satchel back if you take me to see the stars. And he's like, oh, you mean the lantern thing that they do for the dead princess? And she's like, lanterns? What? Like, not realizing she's the dead princess at all.
Right, yeah.
Or the princess.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, it's a deal. So they're gonna go on this adventure together. So Flynn, like, climbs back down the tower, and Rapunzel, like, lowers herself down by her hair, and it's, like, this grand scene. She finally's on the ground. She touches the dirt for the first time, like, rolling around in the mud. And then she has an existential crisis where she's like, look what I've done! And then her tone changes, like, look what I've done! She's like, what will Mother say? This is awful. I can't do this to Mother. But she finally is talked into going along with Flynn. He's like, are you hungry? Let's go get something to eat. And he's like, it's a place called the Snuggly Duckling. She's like, oh, that sounds charming. Well, it's a, like, kind of a biker bar, but fantasy biker bar, essentially. So there's all these, like, real gruff guys. Like, they're treating her really nice, and she, like, leads them in song of, like, what are your dreams? Everybody has a dream.
It's such a cute song.
I've got a dream. I've got a dream. And, like, there's one guy, he has, like, a hook for a hand, and he's like, I may be gruff and mean, but all I really want to do is be a concert pianist. And, like, they all have these really cute little hobbies and dreams, and it's just adorable. But then it's time to say, well, Flynn, what's your dream? He's like, I want to live on a deserted island with all my money and no one bothering me.
Mood.
And they're like, your dream stinks.
It's a solid mood. I appreciate.
Now, the reason that we picked this for Warrant is because there's all these, like, signs out asking for his arrest. So, a warrant for his arrest. But they're all, like, comically wrong with his nose. Like, they're all different, and they're all incorrect. And so they're like, is this you? He's like, no, it's not. You look at that nose. It's not me. The guards are coming. They think they know that this is where Flynn is. Now, what's also happened in the meantime is Mother Gothel went back to the tower because she came across Maximus in the woods, and she's like, oh, a royal steed! And without his rider, oh no, I have to go save Rapunzel. So she goes back to the tower. Rapunzel's not there. It's her worst nightmare. However, she does find one of these, like, papers that has Flynn's face on it. So she kind of knows what's up a little bit. She also makes it to the Snuggly Duckling. While the guards are kind of there, she stays out of the way, though. She doesn't expose herself yet. And also then the bartender with the big hook for a hand, since he likes Rapunzel, he shows Rapunzel and Flynn the secret passageway, And so they make it out of there without being detected by the guards. They're kind of walking through a cave, and they're like just kind of talking and bonding, getting to know each other. And like Flynn is still kind of acts all cool, and Rapunzel's just like, oh, that's so nice. Like she's just so innocent and doesn't understand anything that's going on. There's then a cave-in somehow in the cave, but they're able, and like there's all this water coming in, and they're able to make it out just barely because Rapunzel makes her hair glow so they can see where the water is flowing to, and like pull down all this rock rubble that's in there, and they make it out into this stream, and Rapunzel's like, oh my gosh, are you all right? And Flynn's like, your hair glows. You have magic hair that glows. And like, he's in shock. And he's also injured. And she's like, yeah, look what else my hair can do. And wraps his hand up in her hair, sings her little song about like how to make her hair glow. There's like this special song / spell kind of thing that activates the magic, whatever. And it heals his hand. And she's like, don't freak out. And he's like, your hair glows and fixes my hand. Oh my god, is that, oh, he's done this? This is magical and amazing. Wow. And he's just like trying to keep his cool, but like,
don't freak out.
It is not working at all. Anyway, he gets over that. Everything's fine. They make camp for the night. Unfortunately, however, Mother Gothel has found them. She kind of like comes across Rapunzel while Flynn is out getting firewood, and she's like, you have to come back with me. And Rapunzel's like, no, I'm not going to. I finally made a friend, and I'm going to see the stars. And Mother Gothel is like, that friend of yours is a criminal, and like shows her the paper. And Rapunzel's like unconvinced by this, or just she's so mad at Mother Gothel that she's like, I don't care. Like, typical teenager. She's like, I'm not gonna listen to you. I'm gonna stay here. And Mother Gothel's like, fine, come crawling back when he breaks your heart, or something like that. So Rapunzel's allowed to go with Flynn, even though Gothel knows exactly where she is. Which, again, poor planning. Why didn't she just take her back at that point?
Her motivations are strange.
Yes, very strange. Anyway, so they do make it to the town. It's the day of, well, Rapunzel's birthday. And Flynn is, like, showing her around. He actually buys her a little kingdom flag instead of stealing it, which is character growth. And Maximus the horse has been following them around for a while at this point as well. And Flynn, like, tosses him a bag of apples. Like, apples are his kryptonite. He wants them apples. And first off, Maximus is, like, suspicious of them. Like, did you steal these, human, or did you purchase them? And he doesn't actually talk. That's just his expression. And Flynn is like, don't worry, I bought them. And so Maximus, like, starts chowing down. And Flynn calls back, like, most of them. And Maximus is all upset about that. This poor horse. They have such a, like, sibling relationship. It's adorable. At this point as well, Rapunzel, like, has her hair braided by these little girls, and, like, there's all these flowers that are in it, and it's, like, this real iconic look, and it's, like, she can finally move freely without her hair dragging for feet behind her. And then that night, they get this little boat, and they go out onto the river, and there's the lanterns, and they set their lanterns off, and it's magical, and Flynn's like, you know what? Looking at this girl who's so good and pure, I should change my ways, because I think I love her. And she's just like, this is the most magical thing ever, and this guy is great, and he's not at all like the guys Mother Gothel said I would encounter out here. And just, like, everything's perfect, except Flynn sees someone in the woods, and it's the henchman. So he says, oh, there's just one little thing I have to take care of. Just wait right here. And she's like, okay, it'll be fine. So she's hanging out in the boat. He goes to talk to the henchman. He's like, guys, what happened? I thought you were dead. I'm so glad to see you.
You're not dead.
He's clearly bluffing. He is not pleased to see them at all. Anyway, Mother Gothel comes up behind him, knocks him out, as well as the henchman, so they're all laying dead. And then she runs up to Rapunzel and, like, completely lies to her face, like, oh my gosh, they came, they were trying to attack you, and I had to save you, and don't you see now, this is what I warned you would happen this whole time. And poor little Rapunzel, like, believes it. So she's taken back to the tower with Gothel. Her hair is unbraided by Gothel, all the flowers are removed, and Mother Gothel's like, there, it's like it never even happened.
It's like it never even happened.
Yeah. But then Rapunzel has, like, crinkled up in her fist this flag, the kingdom flag, and she's like, as Mother Gothel, like, leaves, she's like, I'm gonna go cook dinner now, and Rapunzel's just, like, laying on her bed. She holds this flag up to her ceiling, like, looking at it, and she's like, but it did happen. But then she realizes that, like, the star insignia that's on the flag, she, like, kind of squints at it, and then she looks at one of her drawings that's on the ceiling, and it has kind of, like, a star motif in it as well. And she's, like, looking everywhere, and she has these star motifs painted into everything. And she, like, suddenly has this flashback of when she was literally a newborn.
A baby.
And she sees her parents' faces, and she has this, like, panic attack realization of, like, oh my gosh, I'm the lost princess. So she was, like, stumbling out of her room towards Mother Gothel, and she's like, I'm the lost princess. And Mother Gothel's like, darling, what are you saying? Haven't I told you not to mutter? And so she, like, yells, I'm the lost princess. Did I stutter, Mother? And it's, like, real dramatic. And Mother Gothel, like, doesn't really know what to say there. However, we'll snap back real quick. Flynn has been arrested because he was found unconscious and was determined to be the wanted man. So he's in jail. However, as he's walking through jail as he's being walked through the corridors of the jail. No, he is being walked through the corridors of the jail. He, like, sees this little ceramic unicorn sitting on one of the windowsills, which is one of the hobbies of one of the thugs, was collecting ceramic unicorns. And so he kind of knows, like, oh, something's up here. What's going on? And they go around this corner, and someone hits down one of the guards with a frying pan, and, like, all these little thugs are there. They're like, we have to save Rapunzel, and we need your help. And so they have this whole elaborate escape plan, and Maximus is in on it, and they basically, like, launch Flynn off of the top of the jail with, like, a teeter-totter or something, and he lands right on Maximus.
It's very Looney Tunes.
Probably would hurt for all parties involved.
I would think so.
But Maximus is fine with it, and Flynn seems fine as well. So
it's good. Disney magic.
Anyway, Flynn runs fast. No, Maximus runs fast with Flynn on it.
Flynn is just carrying Max on his back, just powering through with the horse.
No, it's the other way around. Oh no. They get to the tower. Flynn is, like, calling out, like, Rapunzel, let down your hair. But she's not answering. And so he, like, desperately climbs back up the tower again. Just as Mother Gothel was about to do something horrendous to Rapunzel. I think she, like, chained her up or something.
Yeah.
And, like, that's no way to treat what you're calling your daughter.
Well, she's not the greatest. It's fine.
That's true. It's true. And then there's, like, a slight little tussle between Mother Gothel and Flynn. Mother Gothel, she kind of injures Flynn, and she's, like, pulling Rapunzel along, and she's like, come on, we're going somewhere where no one can find us. But Rapunzel kind of, like, breaks free for just a second, runs over to Flynn, and she's like, I don't want you to die, because I saw the stars, and now you are my new dream.
Aww.
And he's like, and you were mine.
Aww.
And it's so sweet. And then Mother Gothel's, like, about to, like, do this final killing blow to Flynn, but right before she does, he cuts off Rapunzel's hair.
It's such a romantic moment.
So instead of her hair being blonde, it, like, suddenly turns brown, and, like, all of the feet worth of hair that were blonde, they all shrivel up and turn brown as well. And the spell is broken on Mother Gothel. All this time that she's been using Rapunzel's powers to get her youth back, it's, like, all worn out. And she turns into, like, this terrible old hag, and she's all, like, oh no, look at me, it's awful. And in her tantrum that she's throwing, she falls out the window and disappears in a puff of smoke, because it's Disney and no one can die.
No, the thing that happens when you mess with time for too long, you just turn into dust. It's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. However, because of the injuries that she had done to Flynn, he actually, like, is dying.
Mm-hmm.
And Rapunzel, of course, is sad about this, and so she's there, like, crying. Even though her hair is brown now, she, like, lifts his hand up to her head and is, like, singing the song that's supposed to activate the powers, and a tear falls onto his face over one of the cuts, and suddenly everyone is surrounded with shiny light because it's magic, and her love was still able to heal him even though she didn't have her shiny hair anymore.
Aww.
And it's magical and perfect. He's back to being alive,
Hooray!
which is great.
You're alive. You're not dead.
Yay! And he takes her back to the kingdom. He's like, yeah, we gotta show that you're the real princess. So, like, the guards come and tell the king and queen, like, hey, we found the princess, or someone who's claiming to be the princess, which she doesn't look anything like the baby anymore.
Right.
She is, A, full grown, and B, has brown, short hair, not long, blonde hair anymore. However, I guess it's the eyes or something, or they just know.
They just know. They feel it deep in their bones that this is their child.
Yeah. So they have this big group family hug. It's real sweet. And Flynn is just, like, awkwardly standing by. And then the queen pulls him into the hug as well. And they're just one big happy family. And everybody celebrates, and the princess is back. And there's lanterns everywhere. And then at the very end, they say something like, and after years and years and years of asking, I finally said yes. But it was not that way. Apparently, this is Flynn, or his real name is Eugene. That's one of the things that they say in one of their bonding moments. Eugene actually asked her, and of course she did say yes.
No.
So yeah, then they get married, and then apparently in Frozen, they make a cameo appearance at the coronation of Elsa.
Yeah.
So that's a little Disney tidbit.
The Disney cinematic universe.
Yes. But yeah, and Flynn, he did get arrested. The warrant did stand, but I guess because he
If you're dating,
saved the princess.
if you're dating, then save the princess. Your warrant just kind of gets shoved under the table.
Forgotten. Yeah,
Everything's fine now.
He didn't have to pay for his crimes. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah, it's so cute. It's such a cute one. I love it a lot.
It is. Also, I'm real proud of myself for as concise of a storytelling as that was, because I did not watch this beforehand. So I must have watched it a lot when it came out.
Kudos to you.
Thank you. All right.
All right.
So, do you want the quote again? Because I've already also forgotten what it was.
I would love the quote again.
Okay. We'll get you that quote again. Let me pull it right up here.
This is solid podcasting.
All right. All right. So, first person says, how about we at least get a search warrant? Second person says, to search what? Earth?
The only thing that comes to mind, and it's probably wrong, is like Law and Order, maybe?
Oh my gosh, it is! It's Law and Order! You got it! Now, honestly, I could not tell you what episode it is, because I did not look that closely
in there
into all of this. And also, that was just one of many that I could pick from.
Sure.
They talk about getting search warrants almost every episode.
That's like the reason that came to mind. I was like, it's gotta be like a cop or like crime show with people like getting warrants all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
I used to like Law and Order, like, first year of grad school, but then I got too scared to watch it anymore.
That's fair. I'm more now into, like, murder mystery podcasts and things, and less into Law and Order. Also, I don't really have a good place to watch it anymore. And I really liked, like, NCIS.
I mean, at this point, it's been on so long, you can probably find some quality episodes on
That's
YouTube.
true. Yeah. I watched it for a while, and then, like, the Special Victims Unit one, SVU. That was the one I watched more of than just the OG.
Yeah, I think that was the one that was on TV more for the time that I was into it. But I don't know. Something about real life makes me not want to watch it.
That's completely fair.
I'd much more rather watch fantasy.
Yeah, same. Read happy, sappy romances and things.
Yeah, that's more up my alley now. So
anyway, I like that the word warrant both took us to places with gaslighting parent figures. That just cracks me up a little bit, and I had to comment on it. So
nice. I feel like we oftentimes bring
similar,
maybe not
themed
often.
things.
We've occasionally brought similar things, and that's always fun.
Or things that have consistent themes to the word. It's
Yeah.
interesting, to say the least.
Yes.
Generator, would you be so kind to give us our next word, please?
The next word is wheel.
Wheel?
Wheel. Wheel, then.
Well, I guess now we're going alphabetically.
I guess.
Warrant, then wheel.
The wheel. Oh, there's not a lot of great words that... We need to go back to the beginning of the alphabet, please, Generator.
Yeah, we should.
2 W words
right.
back to back.
Surprisingly, I'll share this on the podcast. The generator rolled north again for us.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not going to do another north
No,
episode.
there will be no repeats.
We promise that. No repeatsies.
No repeatsies. Yeah, I think we're at the end of the podcast. Thanks, Generator, for a word, and thank you, listener, for listening to us. If you enjoyed or we got a sensible chuckle out of you, feel free to share it with a friend, even if it's just one friend, or like some random person that you're like in the grocery store line with, and been like, hey,
that would be super fun.
Yeah. Just be like, hey, are you listening to any good podcasts? I'm listening to Nerd of the Week. They're pretty cool. And
you know what? I think there's a very special kind of person in the grocery store line that would love to have this conversation with you.
Please.
You know the type.
Yeah, actually. And, it would help us out. Get another listener on to the Nerd of the Week fam.
And if you shared it with that kind of person, they're for sure going to share it with hundreds more people. So
it may be one.
Get one of those.
One at a time is fine.
I guess because we're not a pyramid scheme, to be clear. So one at a time is fine.
One at a time is fine because we are not a pyramid scheme. All right. All right. Thank you, listener, for tuning in to us.
Okay?
No. Thank you, listener, for tuning in to Late Night Podcasting with Stephanie and Allison. As always, I've been Stephanie.
And I've been Allison.
And this is still not a pyramid scheme.
But it is Nerd of the Week.
But it is Nerd of the Week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.